My ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernise how citizens interact with public services. My ministers will also proceed with the introduction of digital ID that will modernise how citizens interact with public services.
Another place that India leads, but there's a lot more that all of you can be involved in driving forward, is this digital public infrastructure. No country is more able to take government benefits and get them out efficiently and effectively to their citizens than India. You would have expected rich countries or others to do that, but in fact, they did not. And so that basic structure that starts with identity and bank accounts and payments is just foundational. And as part of this visit, I'm now seeing how that foundation is being built out in agriculture with profiles of farmers to understand what they need and give them advice, built out with health records so that we can help people not only with infectious diseases, but the challenge that's coming in the future with the growth of the non-communicable diseases being a huge thing. And that digital public infrastructure will help us with these climate problems. I was in Odisha yesterday, and what they showed is that they've registered the farmers and registered what type of crops they grow and what land they own. They literally have a control center. When you walk in, you think, wow, this is agriculture, but you've got a command center and maps and people doing queries and sending out messages. And so that all starts, with an Aadhaar identity, listing those farmers, getting the information, making sure.
Our immigration system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. Otherwise, it undermines trust, undermines people's faith that we're on their side, and their belief that the state can and will work for them. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. Because decent, pragmatic, fair-minded people, they want us to tackle the issues that they see around them. And of course, the truth is, we won't solve our problems if we don't also take on the root causes.
We're all well aware of the risks in handing our data to companies like Optus and Medibank, but what if you never had to reveal your address ever again? New South Wales is leading the way with a one-stop shop, allowing us to prove and protect our identity once and for all.
It's personal, private, privileged and prized by hackers.
We've seen what happens in relation to Optus and Medibank.
Now, new ways for a new world to give the power back to the people.
What we're rolling out in New South Wales is world-leading technology.
A digital identity that means you'll never have to hand over your data again. It works like this. You'll use an app to scan your passport, licence, Medicare card. They're cross-checked with databases to ensure they're yours and then appear on your phone as verified ID. You then have control over what you share and with whom, revealing only part or all of a document when required, meaning you'll be able to prove a valid licence without showing your address.
All they need to know is that you are real and that you're authorised to drive.
Or confirm you have Medicare while keeping your number unknown.
Those numbers, as we've seen in the recent spate of attacks, will not be shared.
The personal data is kept only on the personal device, never held by the government or a private company.
When you decentralise and you put the information in the power of the individual, it's far safer.
The technology will be optional for users, but not for companies and businesses, with the government set to make it illegal not to recognise the ID.
Ultimately, we will need legislation to make sure that the companies play ball and that they accept this.
Amelia Brace, 7 News.
China's new COVID health code has been accused of being a new tool for monitoring Chinese people. On Thursday, November 10th, China released the 14th five-year plan for national health informatization to speed up the national health informatization construction. According to that plan, by 2025, China will have in place a National Health Information Platform Support and Guarantee System with unified authority and interconnection. According to the plan, the authorities would have full monitoring of every resident's health information, and each person would have an electronic health code for himself or herself. Since the pandemic began, China has strictly imposed and maintained a zero-COVID policy. It is a measurement accused of limiting the movement and freedom of Chinese people, using the electronic health code. Electronic health is often compared to an electronic shackle. With the latest announcement, Chinese netizens are worried they would have to wear such a shackle for another 3 years. There are 3 types of health codes: red, yellow, and green. Rules for health codes are different in each province or city. But Hangzhou City in Zhejiang province stated that red codes mean quarantine for 14 days, yellow codes mean quarantine for 7 days, and green codes mean no restriction. Some Chinese local governments use yellow or red codes to restrict people from traveling, or force them into quarantine. Some places use yellow codes on a large scale to force people to take nucleic acid tests. Some places use red codes to control dissidents or rights activists. According to some analysts, China's zero-COVID policy is not to curb the pandemic, but to tighten social control. This is one of the negative sides of the health code. One video shows a scene on the street of Wuhan City on Thursday, November 10th. A seriously ill person lying on the road was not allowed to enter the hospital just because he had a yellow code.
So let's have a digital health certificate acknowledged by WHO. If you have been vaccinated or tested properly, then you can move around. So for the next pandemic, instead of stopping the movement of the people 100%, which clock the economy globally, you can still provide some movement of the people. Indonesia has achieved, G20 country has agreed to have this digital certificate using WHO standard, and we will submit into the next World Health Assembly in Geneva as the revision to international health regulation. So hopefully for the next pandemic, we can still see some movement of the people, some movement of the goods, and movement of the economy.
That our 3 organizations, Hyperledger Foundation, Finos, and Digital Dollar Project, we've really seen this need for open collaboration, open development in the central bank digital currency space and the research and projects that are happening. So for this reason, we're coming together to start an initiative, the Open Digital Currency Initiative, to promote open source collaboration and governance in the CBDC space. Our aim is to promote the open collaboration development of central bank digital currencies involving all kinds of stakeholders, not just central banks, but those who are helping central banks and anyone else who's involved in this space, so that we can develop really publicly shared resources and avoid duplicating efforts. From our perspective, we really think that most CBDCs are going to be quite similar.
Months ago, we presented our vision for Europe's digital transformation by 2030. It is about where we want to go and who we want to be. Europe is a front runner here and can set standards at the global level. We want to offer to Europeans a new digital identity. An identity that ensures trust and protects users online. We are about to present our proposal. It will allow everyone to control their identity online and to interact with governments and businesses across the European Union. Nobody should be forced to give more data away than is necessary for the purpose at hand. Ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to mention these examples because they showcase our digital ambition. This is about who we want to be as Europeans. And to capture this better, we will formulate a set of digital principles, such as access for all to the internet. We then want to enshrine these principles in a solemn declaration by the European Parliament, the Council and the Commission. Europe's digital principles shall guide our actions and initiatives. I already mentioned digital identity. Another example is artificial intelligence. Just a few weeks ago, we proposed our new legal framework on AI. It is the first such framework worldwide. It puts the individual at the center, and it will ensure that people's safety and fundamental rights are protected. AI is yet another example of our ambition. We embrace new technologies, but we stand by our values, by setting new standards for our single market and by inviting others around the globe to follow. We must ensure that the digital transformation of our democracies has a purpose and that no one is left behind. And I know that also the European Parliament is very engaged in promoting our values and principles in the digital space. So I am very pleased to see that our objectives are very much aligned. And even beyond, as we seek to set standards at the global level, we sense a lot of interest among our international partners. By 2030, we want, for example, 20 million IT specialists to be employed in the European Union. Second, infrastructures. By 2030, we want gigabit connectivity for all households and 5G in all cities and villages. Third, the digital transformation of businesses. By 2030, 3 out of 4 companies should use cloud, big data and AI. And fourth, digital public services. By 2030, all EU citizens should have access to electronic health records.
Catherine Austin Fitz is one of the most prominent voices in the world, warning us about our rapid march into a digital dystopia.
Catherine Austin Fitz, we know of digital IDs.
To assert phenomenal surveillance and control of people.
She is the former US Assistant Secretary of Housing, a Wall Street investment banker, and the founder of the Solari Report. Fitz describes this emerging digital surveillance system as a panopticon, a concept introduced by Jeremy Bentham, in which the constant observation of a central authority ensures discipline and control, most famously exemplified by a prison. The problem, Fitz argues, is that this new 21st century digital control grid, this modern panopticon, will be total.
It wants complete control in a way that I would describe as absolutely evil.
With the technocratic tools now in development, it could potentially surveil everyone, everywhere, and restrict our personal freedoms at will. It doesn't feel like that in this nice little cozy small town in the Netherlands where we are doing this interview. Yet Fitz warns that this system is approaching fast.